So, Mixing Wednesdays back again, and yes, you have guessed it, it is Acustica Audio again, but the question this week is, have I found the best mid-boost EQ on the market? Acustica Audio. Why do I keep doing these videos? The reason I keep doing these videos is because that's what you guys want to see. So a certain mixing engineer, very highly thought after mixing engineer, has always spoke about Acustica Water and about its mid boost frequencies, and he always kind of was like, right, 1.5k, 2.8k. Honestly, if you're looking for an analog boost, now what's an analog boost? A lot of people say it's something in the mids. It's in like the low mids. There's this weight to analog. It just makes everything sound heavier and just a little bit more 3D. And that's what a lot of people say about analog. So that brought me to the question of, is Water actually the best mid boost EQ on the market? Is this one of the best plugins that emulates that analog sound? Let's find out. Right, okay, let's get into Water and I can show you what I'm talking about in terms of these amazing analog mids that I can't seem to find or replicate in any other way. So let's start off with kick drum. So whenever I think of a kick drum and I think of mids, I'm always thinking about 2K, that lovely 2K click that you get. So what I've got here, really simple, 6 dB boost, 2K mid bell. I am using the Pre 2. I don't know why, I just do not like Pre 1. I just think Pre 2 sounds better on every single use that I've used this on. So I'm always going to use Pre 2. What else have I got? I've got a high pass at 30 and I've got a little bit of the compressor in, and it's doing maybe 1 to 2 dB max. And then comparing that, I'm comparing that with a SSL 9000J. I've tried to keep it as similar as physically possible. Now, I'm not really bothered about the compressor because it's more about the EQ for me. So let's hear what this sounds like, and then we'll do a blind test after every one just to kind of see it's what I'm thinking that I'm hearing. Okay, so this is the Water on kick. Right, so what you're getting there is you're getting this really nice mid boost. It's punchy, it's coming at the speaker. So let's compare that with the 9000J. Now, why did I decide to go with the 9000J? The main reason I did is because for the past 6 months I've been using the 9000J on the kick, and I've got a video on 9000J on kick and snare, and in that video I was basically describing to everybody that that was the best plugin I'd ever found for kick and how the low end's just fantastic. So let's hear the difference with the 9000J engaged. It just doesn't have that same hit, does it? It just, again, tonally, they're kind of the same, but in terms of the feel, this is where this kind of works. So let's compare them back and forth, okay? So again, just for me to hear, is it just a thing where I know the Acustica and everybody's told me the Acustica's got this low mid thump? Is it actually there when I do the blind test? So let's see if I could tell the two of them apart. Yeah, but when I listen to more, I know that that's the Acustica, and I'm like, I kind of then listen back to the 9000J because I can tell the difference, and I'm like,
it needs each other. I just kind of feel like the two of them need each other. I just kind of feel that when I kind of go back to the Acustica, and by the way, I know I'm right, okay? Yes, I'm right. So what I'm thinking is that I would probably maybe use, say, like the 9000J. Say if I had like a kick in, kick out, use the 9000J, send it to a kick bus, and I would probably use the water on the kick buses. So I'm still getting that nice kind of high end kind of thump, and it's amazing how the two of them are both at 2K, but tonally I think they thump in different places. I kind of like the two of them, and I kind of feel that the water is missing the kind of that high end. It seems a little bit muddy, but the 9000J, when I listen to it and I go back and forth, I kind of feel like it's missing that kind of low mid thump that the water gives you. So that was quite fun. So let's move on to the snare. Right, okay, so what did I have going on in the snare? So for the snare, I had 5.6K. So again, for me, when it comes to snares, I love the 5K region. I really think that's where it kind of pops out the speakers. So I wanted to give it a little bit of high shelf, just in case you guys are going. I'm really only want to showcase the mid band, but also a lot of people will be going, well, no, how could you say the highs aren't very good in the water when you've not even showed us? So I'll show you. Okay, so again, pre-2, using a bit of compression, high pass at 120. So let's hear what this is doing to the snare. So it's really making it pop out the speakers, isn't it? For this test, and I'm comparing it against different EQs to kind of really give it a good kind of show off. So I'm using one of my favourites now, which is on snare. I really love the Lindell 80 channel, which is based on a Neve. So this definitely gives you a different sound. There is a big change in tone here, but I think it's very interesting what the water gives you, which is again why I keep on making reference that I think it's a missing link that you should use in amongst the plugins that you've already got on just now. So this is what the Lindell's adding. So it's got this really nice warmth and character to it, and you really get that sizzle, which is what you're looking for in the high shelf. Again, for the 5K, you're looking for crack. That's the crack of the snare, that big analog hit, and you're looking for the sizzle out of the top end. So let's compare the two of them side by side. And again, you'll see a massive difference here in tone, okay? And I only think I might just do one test because I know that I'm going to get it. But let's just see. So I don't need to do another test. We all know that that's the Acustica, and that is the Lindell. And I do like to do things like this because if you do make that choice, then you know it's the choice and you could hear it, which is what I like about plugins. So again, it's a Neve and it's a WSW, I think that's what it's replicating, and they should sound different. And I do like the fact that it's giving you kind of a little bit more tonal options. So let's move on to the bass. Now, the bass is a little bit harder to tell the difference with. I had to kind of play with it a little bit. So I am using 1.4. 1.4 is normally something that I use with an API. I always feel that the 1.5K boost, it just brings out the DI a little bit more, and it just pushes a bass more into the mix. So that's all I'm doing. I'm not using the compressor. I just did not like the compressor. I tried it on compressor and limiter, and I just didn't like it. So I just thought, let's just throw it high pass in at 60, and let's hear what this sounds. So you can hear it's kind of bringing out the string attack a little bit more, and I kind of feel that the DI is just a little bit brighter, and it's just kind of coming out at you a little bit more, and it's standing out a little bit more as well. So from there, I've got, comparing that to my faithful API, I've always used an API. I just love it. I just feel that there's this aggressiveness in this point that an API does, and I'm using the slate, so I'm giving it a bit of the API console as well. So I've got the op amping as well, which is why I like the slate one quite a lot. So let's hear, and there is a difference, but we'll listen to it and we'll kind of do a little bit of a recap. So you can hear these harmonics, this grit, and I could hear almost like the string scraping. I could hear the pick attack, and it just sounds like it's kind of coming at you a little bit more harmonically. Where the difference is, and what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go straight to the blind test for this, because I've done this video a few times because I want to do it right. So what you are going to notice that the water definitely has a little bit more boominess in it, and it's adding this weight to it. So that's what the water does really well. It's low, mid, weight. That's kind of the best way to describe it. Now, you'll be able to hear it. So when you do this blind test, okay, with me, what I want you to do is I want you to listen to which one is a little bit more scrapey and has a little bit more kind of harmonic grit, and which one has a bit more low end. You will hear it in the sustain, which is why I used this bass part. Not when I did the first test, I was using it a bit of a faster bass picking part, but I'd done this to show you the importance of how each of them differ in terms of how they boost the 1K, right? So let's give it a go. Right, so I would say that this one here has got the most low mid weight to it. And if we were to say that normally the way it works is that the Acustica has kind of the best analog characteristics for the mids in that low mid weight, it should really be that. It should really be that, was what people say. For me, definitely the Acustica did have more low mid weight. I could hear it in the sustain, and it is subtle, and it does require you to listen quite hard. So in a mix, I would go as far to say that I'm not sure if it would make enough of a difference for a listener to hear it. I think it is very close, and that Slate API does a really, really good job, and they're really, really similar. So what have we got next? So next up, we have an interesting one, which I've got two on, which is guitars. So on the guitars, the annoying thing is with the console is that in the midband you can only use one frequency. So if you want to add in another frequency in the midband, then you have to use this EQ, which is a little bit annoying, and it's going to use more CPU as well. So that was a bit annoying. So on this one, I am adding in some 8K, and look at that, I'm rattling it. I'm rattling this at 9 dB. And what's interesting is look at this, 6 dB, right? So normally have them all set the same, but on the 9000J, 8K, 6 dB, because there's that much of a difference. And look, an extra 3 dB at 8K just to try and get it anywhere close to the cut, because it was massively different. And then on this again, 2.8. The 2.8 for me is the winner. I've heard a lot of people say that the 1.4, the 2 and the 2.8 are like the magic mid frequencies. To me, the 2.8 and the 5.6 are the ones. Honestly, you heard it on the snare, you heard the 2 on the kick, but let's hear this. Honestly, this is crazy on guitars. But again, it shows you the importance again of needing to mix the water with other plugins, right? So I'll give you the guitars with the Acustica. So again, these two all in. Now, do you hear the balls at 2.8 Gibbs? See, just for the 8K in, it just sounds lifeless and just a bit thin and weak. That 2.8 is crazy. That's absolutely mental. So let's try taking that out, okay, with the 8K out and then adding the 8K in. And you'd be like, nah, that's adding some really nice cut. Yeah, it's adding some nice cut. And then again, if you were mixing with this and not trying anything else out, you'd be like, yeah. But let's listen to the 9000J in comparison. And I do have a little bit of compression going on with the two of them as well. Just want to try out the compressors as well. So there is a massive difference there, isn't there? But to me, listen to the two of them side by side, and then we'll do a blind test, and it'll be really easy. So if you think that there's not much difference in the cuts, and remember, I'm only boosting 6 dB at 8K, but I'm boosting an extra 3 dB at 8K with the water, okay? So listen to the difference. So again, 9000J, and then back to the water. So massive difference there. Now, again, what you're finding is that the water is clean. It's such a clean EQ. A lot of people might go, no, in comparison, the 9000J sounds really harsh. Trust me, right? We all know, right? 9000J. Think of guys like CLA and stuff, Diamond 8K with an SSL, Michael Brower, for example, right? 8K guitars, right? It is a sound that cuts through the mix, right? So that's why we don't listen to stuff in solo. In a mix, you're normally finding that to get guitars to really, really cut I'm normally diming this. I'd probably do more than... It sounds pretty harsh, it's like 6 dB. That is a major difference to me. But what you can hear is what the 9000J is lacking is that low mid weight. The kind of palm mute bits are really kind of prevalent, and they're just like adding to that weight. So in a track, that guitar's really going to tie in well with the bass, and it's going to give you more of a solid rhythm section. So again, it's lacking to me in that cut. And again, look, I have dimed it. That's it. I cannot get any more 8K out of Water. I can't do it. But look at that, right? I can go all the way up to 20 dB. Okay. The last thing that I've got going on is the vocals. Okay. I will do a blind test on the vocals. So for the vocals, I have got again 2 plugins on here because I want to kind of showcase as much as I can. So for this, I've got the 5.6. I love 5K on vocals for that presence, 6 dB. And then again, I'm using the high shelf because again, I want to show you guys that the high shelf in this just isn't for me, and I don't think it's very usable. There's other things out there that's going to give you a really much better sound. So 3 dB at high shelf, high pass at 120. What have I got? The compressor set. I'm using it as a limiter. And then on this section here on my chain, I've got about a 3K. But I know that's the frequency range that the Butch Vig vocals is in the present, so it's 3K. I think it's a 12K shelf, and then for the 5K I'm using a 550A. Again, just adding in more flavors in there. I really like that 5K boost that an API gives you, so I'm using that. And then for my limiter, I'm using the star level, which is my staple star level. There's the Magic 2.8. Again, see on here, guys, you're going to just see some magic. See this 2.8? I know what, I'm not even going to describe it, okay? Again, and just for another little thing as well, a lot of people say nobody uses the pre. I always use the pre in every single one of my Acustica videos to make it as fair as possible. So as you will see, even when I'm using this extra EQ, I've always got the pre switched on. Again, you can use this in mid-side as well, guys, so that's another nice little added feature as well. So let's hear what the vocals sound like through the water.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests, so send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril, there can only be one loser, I never knew why.
So really bringing that out, it's just the vocals came alive, and it is a great sounding vocal. Now let's hear the difference with what my chain would be. Well, again, I would add a lot more into this, but just to make it as consistent as possible to what the Water's adding, let's try this out.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests, so send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril, there can only be one loser.
So to me, there is, again, it's that air, it's that high end, but when you do the back and forth, it's hard to hear it one after the other, but see when you do the back and forth, did you see this 2.8? It's the magic, guys. It is the absolute magic. So let's do the blind test. This will be the last one that we do, and then we'll wrap up. So let's go. Where am I? Hoffa. This should be night and day, and I think it is. But it's just, again, I just want you to hear, just listen for that, almost as if he's singing right in front of you. It's that 3D kind of character where it just brings the vocal a little bit closer and it's more intimate. And I always think I'll need to do one test. I think I'll get it pretty quick. So let's try it out.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests, so send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril, there can only be one loser, I never knew why. We were only passing ships.
Now that's Acustica. We all know it is how it's more up front, right? It's definitely more up front, and you do have more air with and less clutter with kind of my chain. So we'll just call him MC. So I'll play it one more time, okay, just in case you want to hear it. But that's what it is. I know that's what it is. I'll play it one more time.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away, forsake him at your peril.
So yes, the question was, do I think that the Acustica Water is the best mid-boost plugin on the market? I would have to say yes. I've never found anything else like it. Should you use it on its own? No, I think where it's actually at its best is if you combine it with different things. The top end isn't that great and it does sound a little bit muddy, so combine it. As I said in the video, I think when I do get it, what I might do is I'll probably maybe use like the SSL 9000J on the individual tracks. Then when I stick it to a kick bus, a snare bus, then I could then add in that 2.8 or 5K. I could start adding in those frequencies, and that's going to then give you all of that kind of lovely analog like mid boost, that 3D character. Is that what analog sounds like? I don't know, but I'm going off all the comments and what everybody else speaks about, and it seems to be that is the analog sound, is that kind of 3D kind of mid boost, and you can hear it in the vocals. How good! Honestly, the vocals just sounded weak without it. I just kind of didn't feel like the vocals were as close without it. But again, when I added it in with my chain, it was just perfect. You had the nice top end in there, and you had this lovely focal point there, and it's just amazing. I think it's just for the mid band alone. I won't use the compressor, I won't use the low band, I won't use the high band. I will probably just scrap the channel strip, especially for CPU as well, and just use that EQ. Just use the EQ mid band, and again you can use it in mid side as well, which I can imagine the possibilities with that as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I'll keep on doing these videos, and again, remember guys, I do have a separate channel all about my autism, so if you want to know more about me instead of me just being a mixer, then I do have a separate channel. I'll put a link in the corner guys, and you can check that out, subscribe to that. And yes, I do have quite funny videos. I know I do these videos quite seriously, but I do have a comedic side, and yes, I do kind of stumble through life as an autistic man, so check that out as well. And again, if you like this video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you again next Wednesday.